Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. My name is Amanda, and in today's video, Jen and I are going to talk about all of the books that we read in April, May, and June that you guys don't know about yet. For me, in April, May, and June, it was kind of a slow month, a slow quarter, really. This year's been actually kind of slow. I'm really behind in my Good Year's Reads goal, which is 100 books. I'm very far behind. I really need to catch up, but I've been super distracted this first half of the summer, so it's been rough, y'all. But I read a total of 20 books. 11 of them were for vlogs and content. 9 of them you guys don't know about because I haven't talked about them.
Hey guys, it's Jen, and welcome to our quarter 2 wrap up, where we go over all of the books that we did not show you in any of the videos that we have done and we have read in the months of April, May, and June. First, I start off with some statistics. So just in those 3 months, I have read 30 books, which I still feel like I am on a really fast pace of reading, and a lot of it is helped by audio. And of those 30 books, I have 14 books that aren't in any of the videos, vlogs, arc reviews, or shorts. So 14 still feels like a pretty big number to go over. I am not going to regurgitate like plot lines or going over anything that will just make it longer. I'm gonna just do a brief, as little as I can, synopsis and mostly talk about how I liked it or not. If you want to know more of it, obviously you have places that you can go to look up the description of the book. So I am not going to waste time trying to regurgitate that information. For the year, I have read 60 total books, and it's weird that 30 were in the first 3 months and 30 are now in the second 3 months. So I'm just going to get into it. I am going to start with the books in order, like chronologically of when I read them. Start with April, what I read, and then May, and then June. And first up, I had read Broken Country by Clare Leslie Hall. I did give this one 4 stars. And brief synopsis, it's about Beth and Frank. They're happily married. They're happy because this past has stayed in the past so far. But in most fiction books, when the past comes colliding with the current state of things, it causes a lot of trouble. And one seemingly small event turns into a lot of issues for Beth and Frank and their marriage. I really enjoyed it just because the writing was so good, and I feel like the characters came alive with the writing. Fiction is definitely more about the internal struggle and the characters and not necessarily the plot, but I felt like this had a pretty healthy dose of both, though the plot is definitely not like, you know, a thriller or anything like that, but I was mostly enjoying this because of the writing.
Of all 20 of those books, I had 2 5-star reads. One, Shattered Crown by Rebecca Zanetti. I did an arc review for that one. It was fantastic. Go check out that arc review. And my second 5-star read was Rites of the Starling, which we did for a viral book series that we do, which is also a short video. You can go check that out as well on our channel. I also want to mention 4 almost 5 stars. They were 4.5 stars, and on Goodreads I might have bumped them up to 5 or down to 4 depending, but 4 honorable mentions that were 4.5 stars: Whisper Creek by Allison Brennan, Rules for the Summer by Meghan Quinn, Wicked Onyx by Devney Cassidy. That book, you guys, I'll talk more about that because that's one that's not in a vlog. And Silvercloak by Elle. All 4 of those books were great reads, and I just wanted to give them a little honorable mentions. They weren't quite 5 stars, but they were close. I also, unfortunately, had 1 DNF, but just one's pretty good. I actually haven't DNF'd that many books this year, even though I've been ruthless, because a lot of the books, although they haven't been 5 stars, have been okay so far this year. I haven't had a great reading year, also haven't had a terrible reading year. But the one book that I did DNF was The Tarot Trials by Katee Robert. This book is not out yet. This book comes out, I think, October. Yeah, October of 2026. And Katee Robert, I've never read this author before. She mostly writes very spicy, like romance, I guess you call them romance books, but they're just like smut books. She usually writes those type of books. So I have not read her. This is a fantasy book. I assume there's probably some spice in it, but it's mostly focused on fantasy. And I got to page 80, which is maybe like a quarter of the way in the book, maybe a little less. But y'all, I just couldn't stand these characters. I just couldn't. I wasn't really into the book, and I really just didn't connect with the characters or like them. So it just kind of ruined the whole book. The plot didn't make up for the characters. Also didn't feel like there was a whole lot of originality. Tarot card aspect was new to me. But as far as tropes or situations or uniqueness of the plot going on, I didn't really feel like there was enough of that to help me keep pushing past my dislike for the characters. So there's that.
Next is something I pulled from the TBR jar in one of our TBR monthly videos. And I know we had said we were going to do a YouTube short whenever we read these books, but there were some that for whatever reason, I just didn't feel that it would make a good YouTube short, so I didn't do one. And I think for this one, it's because I only gave it 3 stars. It was only an okay book, but it's Everyone is Watching by Heather Gudenkauf. It's about a reality show and the contestants are competing for money, but I feel like it's a very forgettable type book. It was just something that, I don't know, it didn't stick with me. Even when I was going through the books that I was going to talk about today, it took me a minute to even remember the book, which is saying something. And it was disappointing in that regard because the other book that I read by her, The Overnight Guest, I feel I can remember that one, and that one was a while ago that I read. I feel like her writing from that made me want to read more, and this one just wasn't doing it for me. And I hate when you really enjoy an author and you think, oh, the next book by this author is going to be just as good, and then it's not. I think I would still try her again if she had another one out, but I don't think I would be rushing to read another book by her because it just wasn't great. It was just okay.
So the first of the 9 books I read y'all don't know about is In the Veins of Drowning by Cassidy. And I gotta be honest with y'all, I really don't understand the hype around that one. I thought the book was mediocre. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay, but it wasn't something that like I want to continue. I'm not going to continue the series. I was kind of bored through parts of it. I felt like it was something I read before. I felt like it was, I honestly didn't feel the love between the characters. I didn't feel, they talk, like a lot of the people that liked the book talk about the yearning, but like I didn't feel that. So I don't know. Maybe it was the wrong time for me for that book, but it's just something that I thought was mediocre. It was 3 stars.
Next was another book that I picked from a TBR jar. And again, for whatever reason, I just didn't feel like it would make a good YouTube short. But this one is called Wreck by Catherine Newman. I did give it 4 stars because I feel like it was a very relatable type book, especially for a woman, and a woman that is not in her 20s anymore, maybe not even in her early 30s anymore. It's more for someone who is transitioning in life from her early days, and she is going through some medical drama as well. I really love the way she writes a lot of what she's talking about. I feel it's very humorous, and it's just, the only other word I can think of is relatable. It's a short book, but I feel like I read it very quickly. It is a continuation of her first book named Sandwich. I know both those books got a lot of online hate because people say the main character, the main female narrator, is annoying, but I didn't feel that she is. I think you have to be at a certain point in life to appreciate what she's talking about, and that is why I thought it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to do a video on, because I don't know, I feel like it's a niche type fiction that not everybody's gonna love, but I enjoyed it. It was 4 stars for me.
My second of 9 books is A Stark View by Alexis Patton. Now, this book also has been hyped. And also, I do not understand the hype of this book. It's a dystopian YA novel. It's about a girl that's stuck underground in this prison and she's trying to escape. And the love interest of the book is a guard that is supposed to be guarding her. And I don't know. I felt like it wasn't, I did not feel the romance between these two characters. Again, it's another book people talk about the yearning, but like, I just didn't feel that. I don't think it's there yet. It's possible that it could develop more in the second and third books. I know there's at least 3 books. I'm pretty sure this is a trilogy. So I feel like it could, if I keep reading the series, develop more, but I was just very disappointed. I felt like the book was kind of boring, to be honest with you. It wasn't bad, but it was mediocre. Again, it was another 3-star.
The next one I absolutely loved. I wish I would have read it before the book had come out because I did have an electronic ARC for it, but I didn't read it until after it was published, and it's called The Book Witch by Meg Shaffer. I have read all 3 of Meg Shaffer's books, and this one and The Wishing Game are definitely the same level for me. It was 5 stars, and how can I not give it 5 stars when there's an inspiration for Nancy Drew in this, and there's also inspiration for Alice in Wonderland. It's just so imaginative. I love the story in this book. I feel like it's something that I just got sucked into, and I didn't want to put it down, and I didn't want it to end. It was very humorous characters as well. Just unique type of book. And if you love literature, especially loving books growing up, this book is definitely for you. 5 stars all the way. Love this book so much.
My third of 9 books that I read you don't know about is Game On by Navessa Allen. I'm starting to think Navessa Allen is a one-hit wonder for me. I liked Lights Out. I really hated the second book. I can't even remember the name of it right now. Game On was better than the second book, but just, I don't know. I rated this one 2.5 stars.
The next was a romance called And Now Back to You by B.K. Borrison. It is the first book I read by this author, and I have heard a lot about this author, but it was very disappointing read for me. The first, I would say, like quarter of the book, I did think it was really funny. It was very promising. I thought, oh my God, this is great. I'm gonna love this book. But then I lost whatever love I had for it. And I almost DNF'd it towards the end because it just wasn't fun to read anymore. I ended up giving it a 3 stars because I didn't think it was horrible. It just was kind of okay. It got kind of boring in spots, but I did enjoy the writing. I think I would try B.K. Borrison again, but I wouldn't be rushing to do it. It just, I don't know. It wasn't for me, and I wish I liked it more than I did.
Book number 4 of 9 that y'all know about is one that I did enjoy. It's called Silvercloak by L.K. Stephen. Now, this book started out so good, and y'all, the writing is amazing. I want to read more of this author's writing. I did rate this book 4.5 stars. In case you don't know what this book's about, you live in this world where magic is intensified or quantified by pain or pleasure. And so it's very, as you can imagine, it's very intense as far as pain, people causing pain to gain magic, and pleasure, of course. And although that is a big aspect of the book, I don't think the book it wasn't as spicy as I was like thinking it was gonna be. I was expecting it to almost be like a smut book, and it was not, which I'm glad for, because I just think too much of the spice or too much of the smut takes away from the story even, and it just sort of is filler to me. It's not something that is necessary in books, so when there's a lot of it, I get like tired of the book. So anyways, I was kind of nervous there was going to be a lot more of that just based on that concept, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And the writing, like I said, is beautiful. The story is dark and the story that develops is, it's complex, but it's not hard to follow, and I just really enjoyed it. I really am anxious to read the next book in the series to see where the story is going to go. And I know that probably doesn't tell you a lot about what the book is about, but if you want to know, I mean, this is a popular book. You've probably seen it before. If you need to know more information about that, you can always read the back of the book. The book does end on a cliffhanger, and I do want to get my hands on the next book as soon as it comes out.
And then back to another book that I loved, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. Definitely a 5-star book for me. The format of this is different than a lot of books, and it's told in letter form. The character, Sybil Van Antwerp, I feel would make such a great movie if there was a movie made of this book. She is definitely a character. And she's older in life, and she loves writing letters, and she's writing letters to so many different people. But you end up finding out so much of her life and what she has been through in reading those letters as she's writing them to people. And then you also get a couple that are written to her, and you find out some kind of, not twists, but kind of curves in what you think is going on in this story. I did cry at the end for a reason that you wouldn't expect in this story, and I won't say because I don't want to ruin it, but I did really enjoy this book. 5 stars for sure.
Book 5 of 9 is Finlay Donovan Crosses the Line by Elle Cosimano. This is a series. This whole series has been so fun. I have just thought, I literally laugh out loud when I read these books. I've thought all of them have been so humorous and funny, and the situations are funny, the banter is funny, and I had really high expectations for this book. First of all, this is like the 5th or 6th book of the series. It's up there. So this is a series, and you do need to read them in order. But in this book, Finlay is driving to Baltimore to help Vero because Vero has charges brought against her for stealing money from her sorority, and Finlay is going up there to help get Vero out of jail and prove her innocence. And I thought that sounded super fun. I was just a tiny bit let down. It wasn't as fun as I expected it to be, so maybe my expectations were just really high, and it wasn't my favorite Finlay Donovan book, but it was still a solid 4 stars. I still completely recommend this series, and I know there's probably going to be another book coming out just based on the way that this book ended, and I can't wait to read the next book and see what's in store for Vero and Finlay in that one.
Next is another book that I picked from the TBR jar. I did really good at reading my TBR jar picks from the monthly TBR videos. Again, I didn't do a YouTube short, again, because I just didn't think it would make a good video that anyone was going to want to hear about. But it is The Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. I am a huge Sally Hepworth fan, but this book is the bottom of the books that I've read by her. And I did just read one that I absolutely love called Mad Mabel. I even did a arc review for it and a short for it. But this one was very disappointing. I just didn't really enjoy it. It was just kind of bland for me. It was one of her earlier books, so maybe she was just finding her voice and finding her way in writing thriller slash fiction. But it was just okay. I just gave it 3 stars, and that was surprising to me because I thought I was going to love all of Sally Hepworth's books, but there was another one that I didn't particularly like, and it was from a couple years ago. So I wouldn't say every single one of her books are something that I absolutely love, but this one was just okay.
Book 6 of 9 I've read is a fantastic book. I gave 4.5 stars to, not quite 5 stars, but I really enjoyed my time reading this book, and that's Wicked Onyx by Debbie Cassidy. This is a book that I borrowed from my library, but I might buy it. I do want to get my hands on the second book, read the second book, but I might buy the duet if I like the second book. So this book, you're following Anamaya, and she comes from a long line of sorcerers that have been condemned because a long time ago, her family, she believes, is innocent of this, but they were accused of a crime and they were kind of outcast in their community. So Anamaya comes across a letter from her mother, or to her mother, I can't remember, but she comes across a letter, and she thinks based on this letter that the proof to her family's innocence was located in some basement of this college-like campus where sorcerers go to learn magic and advance their skills. So she decides to come out of hiding. She's been in hiding since she's outcast, and claim her name as a sorceress and go to this college. And it was just really fun, y'all. I had a great time reading this book. It is love triangle, but I liked this love triangle because I'm really on the side. It's not one that I'm in the middle of and I feel bad for both characters. It's one where I'm strongly on the side of one character and I just don't really care at this point if the other male interest it gets hurt. I don't like him as much per se. I don't know. There's something that about his character, and I don't know if this is on purpose, that I don't trust or that is off to me. So maybe I'll get my answers in the next book, or maybe in the next book it'll flip and we'll discover something and I'll like him more. But as of right now, I'm really strongly on the side of one character, and it's fine with me if as long as it turns out to be him.
Back to a romance, I read The Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Laurie Gilmore, and as with all of her books, I absolutely loved it. There hasn't been one by her that I haven't liked, and every time I read one, I think that it's my favorite one so far, so it's really funny that I thought that again with this one. I gave it 4 stars, and I really love the character because not just is it like humorous and has a lot of romance in it, but there's always like a undertone of a mystery happening in a lot of her books. This one, Daisy just has a lot of bad luck and she's trying to turn her luck around. And of course, the new guy in town is someone that kind of helps her with this problem she has with life and with love. So I absolutely love it. If you love very feel-good romance, there's a little bit of spice, not a crazy amount. And I just love the way it's written. I love the humor. And to me, they're very enjoyable.
Book number 7 of 9 is Beautiful Carnage by the Twisted Sisters, Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. And y'all, this is the second book of theirs that I've read. 4 stars. Like, I think I'm becoming a fan of the Twisted Sisters, and it's really making me want to start reading the Zodiac Academy. This is a duet, as far as I know. There's 2 books out in this series, and it's a mafia romance. It's very slow burn, enemies to lovers, and one mafia family killed the son and brother of this family. So the brother in this family decides to steal the bride of the son of the head of this mafia family that's going to be married. It's during the wedding. So he steals her during the wedding. They break in and steal her away. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was a good time. It wasn't 5 stars, but it was great. I am really liking the writing of these 2 sisters, and I want to read more of their book. I've read Hollow and now Beautiful Carnage, and I just want to keep going. I want more. Please recommend more Twisted Sister books.
The next is called Her Last Breath by Taylor Adams. I've been wanting to read Taylor Adams for a while. They wrote, I don't know if it's a he or she, but they wrote a book called No Exit that I saw a movie based on that book, and I really loved that movie. So I've been wanting to read a book by Taylor Adams for a while. And this one is 5 stars for me. I was riveted to this book. And there were a lot of like kind of, I don't know if I would say crazy twists, but definitely twists in this book that I didn't anticipate. And I always love when that happens. There is also an element that I have grown to love with thrillers is when you see a perspective from a detective or someone who's investigating a crime. I really liked how the story was laid out. And I don't want to say how it is because if I talk about it, there's a lot of things I would want to talk about and how the story is told to you. And I really loved that part. So if you love psychological thrillers, you like having books that have a lot of twists, I definitely recommend Her Last Breath by Taylor Adams.
Book 8 of 9. We're almost there, y'all. Book 8 of 9 is The Robin on the Oak Throne by K.A. Lindy. I enjoyed this book more, I think, than The Wren in the Holly Library. I came into it more prepared, like I knew what to expect more, so my expectations were a little bit better for the second book, but I didn't love it. I just gave it 3 stars. I can't really figure out why. I felt like there was a lot of fluff in this book. I felt like there was a lot of scenes or a lot of things in this book that weren't very central to the part, that weren't necessary. And during those parts, I would kind of zone out and not be really immersed in the books. And that's just a problem for me. And I honestly don't know if I'm going to continue the series or not. The 3rd book is coming out, if it's not out already. And I honestly don't know. I'm just kind of iffy. I think Jen really liked the book. So if Jen's going to continue and read the 3rd book, and she says it's really good, then maybe I'll try to read it. But I really haven't shared the excitement for this series that Jen has had. And I can't really explain why, except for just I feel like I'm not into the book. I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if, like I said, there's scenes that I think are not necessary, and I kind of zone out during them. But this has just been an average book for me. This has just been an average series so far for me.
The next was a little deviation of what I normally read, and I think I had seen something that made me want to read this, and that's why I picked it up. But it's a memoir, and it is Princess Diarist by Carrie Fisher. I am a huge Star Wars fan, Star Wars nerd, and I grew up on the original movie, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Loved Carrie Fisher, and I love her humor. She's been in other things that I've loved her in, like The Burbs. I wanted to read, she has several memoirs out, and I've been wanting to read one of hers. I don't know what made me read this one in particular, but it mostly tells of the diary entries that she made while making Star Wars and her relationship offset with Harrison Ford.
I love you.
I know.
I really enjoyed, because I listened to this on audio and it was told in her voice. So Carrie Fisher reads it for the audiobook, and it was right before she passed away. I really enjoyed this a lot. It's hard to always give a star on a memoir because it's basically someone's life, but I highly, highly, highly enjoyed listening to her tell the story. And then her daughter, Billie Lourd, also reads the diary entries that she had from the Star Wars time. And so if you're any kind of Star Wars fan, or just like reading memoirs or listening to memoirs, I think this was definitely one that you should pick up.
The last book I read, y'all don't know about. This is number 9, Starside by Alex Astor. This book, again, was kind of average for me. I don't know, maybe I'm kind of slumpy, and I just don't know I'm in a slump. But I don't know. There was just nothing extremely standing out in my mind about this book. I do think the world is unique. I do like the world that's set up, and I like the name. I like the Starside. The next book's going to be Stormside. The romance, there's just not a lot for me. Romance. There's not a lot of like emotions revolving around the romance. The book, the action, the plot, the characters are good, but I'm really not a fan of the MMC. And the plot twist at the end revolving the MMC, I really saw coming from a mile away. So I wasn't shocked. It didn't necessarily make the twist bad. It just was one that was obvious to me, and I just didn't get that shock. I think that was supposed to come at the end of the book. But if you're expecting like a big swoony, grovelly, like he can't stop thinking about her romance, you're not going to get that with this book. So I was just, the romance, I feel disconnected with the romance a little bit. So that's why this book was not 5 stars, but it is good. And I do want to read Stormside when it comes out.
The next is another thriller, and it's The Anniversary by Alex Finlay. Me and Amanda did get ARCs for this, but we didn't get it read in time before it came out. And it was actually kind of disappointing for me. I really thought I was going to like this because the anniversary is May 1st of every year. There is a May Day killer, and the killer uses May 1st to signify something to him that he kills on that date, but there was someone who escaped. And it's between a female character and a male character. And you see the story every year on May 1st after she escaped, and you kind of see the story that happens after that. And I think that's what bothered me. I feel like a lot of time passes between each year, and you're getting snippets of information about what's happening. And I felt kind of disconnected because of that. I feel like you were kind of given information to fill in that year gap, but it just wasn't working for me. I didn't think it was as good as his other books, and it still had kind of a fast pace to it, but it just wasn't connecting for me. I ended up giving that one only 3 stars. The next was a fiction book that I read called Go Gentle by Maria Semple. I hadn't read Maria Semple before. She had written Where'd You Go, Bernadette, which I know was turned into a movie, and I didn't even see the movie, but this one sounded like something I would really like. And I was right that I would like this one. I did give it 4 stars. I really feel like it was a majority, as most with fiction, about the writing. I felt like there was a lot of humor, very relatable instances that she was telling. I like the dynamic that she talked about with her and her daughter when she's after her divorce and explaining the relationship of her and her daughter and what she wants with the rest of her life. And I feel like there was also an aspect that I didn't expect with kind of a thriller type subplot going on. And then I also really like the story she was telling about what happened in her 20s when she was just getting started, like before she had a family. So I really enjoyed this one a lot. If you like fiction, and especially any kind of relatable, humorous type fiction, this one would definitely be one to read. Next is a fantasy book that is part of a series called Oak and Holly Cycle. And this one is called The Raven at the Ash Door by K.A. Lindy. Again, I had the ARC, but I didn't get to it in time to do an ARC review. And let me tell you that in reading this, I was enjoying it, and it's about 2 characters, Kierce and Graves. It's about monsters. It's a love story. But I did not realize, like, I'm getting towards the end of this, and I'm thinking, like, I feel like there's not many pages left, and I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of answers. Like, I don't know how they're going to sum this up before the book ends. I did not realize that it isn't a trilogy, because this is the 3rd book that I read in this series, I guess you would call it, since it's not a trilogy. There are 5 total books, and I guess she just announced, and I can put on the screen that she mentioned on Instagram, she ended up realizing that it's a 5-book series that she wants to write for this. So I didn't end up with as many answers as I wanted by the end of this, and I'm trying to say it without giving away spoilers, but there are now 2 more books to go over these characters in this series, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I can't wait. I'm kind of irritated that I didn't get a chance to get to a satisfying end, because when I'm reading this, thinking in my head, this is the end of the trilogy, and it was bothering me, like, where you're getting towards the end of this book and you aren't getting answers. So I ended up looking it up because I knew it didn't end, like, the end of this book wasn't like an end. It's like kind of a cliffhanger. And then when I realized there are 2 more books in this series, it was just kind of jarring for me. So I hope that wasn't a spoiler for anyone who is wanting to read these books. She is actively putting it out there that this is going to be a 5-book series, but yeah, I enjoyed it as 4 stars, but it was surprising to find out that it was not going to be a trilogy. And then lastly, the book that I have on my list is The Break-In by Catherine Faulkner. And I did give this 4 stars. It is a thriller. The main character, Alice, kills an intruder because this person ends up breaking in when there are other moms with her at her house and there are children there. And she just reacts and ends up killing this intruder. And the twists that happen after, when she finds out and starts digging to see why this person would break into her house and how it ties to people that she knows, it's very interesting how you get all the information and what you end up finding out what really happened with that intruder. Again, trying to be careful so that I don't ruin that book, but I really enjoyed the many layers to this book. I really enjoyed the twists. It was written very well. I have read Catherine Faulkner before. I can't remember the name of the other one that I read, but I enjoyed this book a lot. So if you like psychological thrillers, especially on the domestic thriller type, definitely recommend that one. And that is my Q2 wrap up. The only other thing I wanted to go over, I showed you guys in the Q1 wrap up that I am filling out this one book that Amanda got me. It's a reading tracker. And something new that I started doing was the A to Z challenge. And in this quarter, I ended up getting a lot more of the letters filled in. So I only have 5 more letters. I have to get a J, a K, Q, of course, X, and Z. So if you guys have any suggestions for those letters, I did try to Google some and look on Goodreads, but I'm not going to intentionally go after those at this time. I've just been reading things we're doing for vlogs and things I want to read, but I know by the end of the year, I'm going to want to complete that challenge. So if you have any suggestions for those letters, please put them in the comments. I would love to know some good books to help me with that alphabet challenge. And let me know if you have done that before, or if you're currently doing it. Thanks for listening to all of our Q2 books that we did not tell you about. Are there any books that you have also read or anything you would love to suggest to us? Please also put those in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and get updates when we put more videos out. We have a lot more on tap for summer, so keep an eye out for more videos. We have a little free library. We have a TBR jar read vlog. We have Amanda's birthday video coming that we're going to do Summerween, and so much coming out, so keep an eye out for all of that. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time.